Michael Dickson has left NFL fans running for cover with his most recent game, which was embarrassing, to say the least. Everyone makes mistakes, but this one was a major one, as it affected the whole team and not just the player at fault. In today's video, we'll be talking about the insane blunder by Michael Dickson, which left the audience gasping in shock as they watched their favorite team taste defeat. First off, the big blunder. It's hard not to blame the player in a situation like this where his big mistake is clearly what led the whole team's performance to a downward spiral, ending the match in disappointment. During the Seattle Seahawks' 32-39 loss to the New Orleans Saints, Australian NFL punter Michael Dickson seemed to make a bad fake punt attempt. Midway through the second quarter, the scores were tied 10-10, and the Seahawks were positioned in a punt formation on their own 20-yard line. Dickson took the snap before taking off and dashing to his right for what appeared to be a planned fake punt. Carl Granderson of the Saints struck Dickson just 5 yards upfield, causing him to lose the ball, which was then collected by New Orleans. The Fox NFL announcers, as well as us fans and internet pundits, were perplexed by his desire to take off and run while he was backed up far inside his own half. The commentators were as shocked as us when they saw Michael Dickson make the move that was destined to result in the downfall of the team. They clearly expressed how annoyed they were by questioning what he was thinking while making the move, reminding him that he's not a runner, and discussed that the decision was a bad one, to say the least. The disastrous play proved to be a key turning point in the game, and the Saints' momentum changed after they scored a touchdown on the subsequent drive through Taysom Hill, putting them in a 17-10 lead. Followed by, the coach of the Seahawks discusses Michael Dickson's mistake. The coach must have been disappointed as well. Who wouldn't be? Imagine spending your precious time and energy training the players to be the best of the best so they can lead the team to victory only to lose because of a single silly move. However, we understand if he defends the player, he will have a bias towards a player playing under him, obviously. After the game, Seahawks head coach Pete Carroll explained to the media that the play was actually a rollout punt that went wrong rather than being intended to be a fake punt. Carroll said that the kick was a rollout punt, which you could occasionally have to run if certain conditions exist. He also said that although the Seahawks had practiced the rollout punt play on the practice field, the execution on game day just wasn't there. He talked about how things often get messy on the field and players occasionally have no choice but to make quick decisions that sometimes end badly. He was probably trying to protect the player when he said that this move that Michael made had been practiced by the team with precision and that it was the perfect time to go with it, even though it ended up being a disaster, unfortunately. Again, it's highly likely that he doesn't mean what he said and is just trying to protect the player, but it can also be legit, making the whole ordeal seem unfortunate rather than a disaster. No matter what it actually was, it did a lot of damage to the team. Up next, why all the frustration is justified. The Seahawks selected Australian punter Michael Dickson out of the University of Texas with the 2018 draft pick, and then moved up in the 5th round to select him, demonstrating how much potential they saw in him. The Seahawks extended Dickson's deal by 4 years, 3 years later, demonstrating their appreciation for the All-Pro and Pro Bowl punter. The success of Seattle's special teams has been greatly attributed to Dickson, who was named to the first-team All-Pro and Pro Bowl as a rookie in 2018. Dickson has also been one of the NFL's top punters over the past 3 seasons. Seahawks head coach Pete Carroll praised the consistency of Seattle's special teams play throughout the 2020 season, and while many players contributed, Dickson, kicker Jason Myers, who didn't miss a field goal attempt the entire season, long snapper Tyler Ott, and special teams captain and Pro Bowler Nick Bellore helped lead the charge. Now you may have a better understanding of why we are so frustrated regarding the recent incident. It's purely because everyone was counting on Dickson, and this was something completely unforgivable given his previously spotless record. If the same mistake was probably made by a player with a shaky record, then the reactions wouldn't have been as bad as they are at the moment, because that scenario would not have been shocking. Most of the anger that we feel towards the team and the player is because of the rage and disappointment that we felt in that moment as soon as it happened. Lastly, was Dickson the only one at fault? The offense of the Seattle Seahawks is performing like a team that should be in the playoffs. The defense can't stop Pop Warner attacks, and along with some questionable rulings, it cost the team a 39-32 loss to the New Orleans Saints. A poor DK Metcalf drop and a dubious penalty on Charles Cross prevented Geno Smith from throwing for 4 or 5 touchdowns, but Kenneth Walker III scored an exhilarating first touchdown of his career. Given the sad incident of Rashad Penny suffering a serious injury, Walker will appear much more frequently. Nearly all of the defense is terrible. Kobe Bryant and Tariq Woolen continue to produce fantastic plays, giving the team a fighting chance. Taysom Hill passed for 1 touchdown and ran for 3 scores, totaling over 100 yards. He won the game with a 60-yard scamper. The Saints were 8-13 on their third downs compared to Seattle's 1-9 attempts. The Seahawks could be the worst NFL club if not for Geno and this offense. This defense is truly appalling, and there is no doubt that special teams played a role in this game's inability to be won. So the move by Michael Dickson might have been one of the reasons behind the loss, as the team wasn't doing too good on their own as well. Now, on to some hilariously wild moments from NFL Week 4, 2022. At first, Marcus Peters seemed to be targeting John Harbaugh. The Baltimore Ravens were 103 all-time when leading by 17 points or more in a game through the first 26 seasons of the franchise's existence. When trailing by 17 or even more points in a game this season, they are 1-2. In Sunday's game against the Buffalo Bills, the Ravens lost after blowing a 23 lead. With almost 4 minutes left in the fourth quarter, the Ravens had an opportunity to break the tie at 2020, but John Harbaugh chose to go for it on 4th and goal from the Bills' 2-yard line. Lamar Jackson was intercepted in the end zone by Jordan Poyer instead of scoring a touchdown, and the touchback he gave the Bills set up their eventual winning drive. In the ensuing minutes, the Bills marched down the field as they called a timeout just before kicking the match-winning field goal. Ravens cornerback Marcus Peters emerged from the field and appeared to be yelling at his head coach. He needed to be held back on the sidelines. Peters reportedly chucked his helmet and attempted to get in Harbaugh's face while yelling indignantly, according to The Athletic. Man, that sounds serious, but must have felt hilarious at the same time. Moving on, DK Metcalf had to be carted off to the bathroom. On Sunday, Metcalf was carried to the bathroom rather than the dressing room. In the fourth quarter of their game against the Lions, the Seahawks star alarmed spectators when Fox cameras captured Metcalf being carried off the field. The broadcast team found out afterward that he only needed to visit the restroom. After the game, Metcalf corroborated this rumor. He deserves credit for at least acknowledging it. We all likely still have unanswered questions regarding the incident in Cleveland a few years ago when Lamar Jackson departed the field due to cramps. No way that happened. Salute to him for admitting what had happened. We could never. The audience at the game must have gotten cramps too later on when they couldn't stop laughing. Lastly, we have London's double doink. You truly missed out if you weren't able to watch the last minutes of the first game on Sunday. Everyone was taken aback by how the game turned out, whether it was the Saints giving the Vikings a game, the total number of points scored, or both. With only 24 seconds left in the fourth quarter with the Saints behind by 3 points, quarterback Andy Dalton connected with rookie wideout Chris Olave for a gain of 32 yards and a move to the Vikings' 43-yard line. Dennis Allen sent Will Lutz out there because he had the leg to make a 61-yard field goal. An attempt was made and the football ended up hitting the upright rather than the crossbar. This was one of the very few occasions during a field goal try when one is completely in the dark. You can only rely on the officials to determine whether or not the ball was successful because you can only observe it bounce about. Heartbreakingly sad for New Orleans. That's a wrap for this video. How angry did this blunder make you feel? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.